Donald Trump just announced a ceasefire plan for Gaza. But is it actually a ceasefire or a surrender plan dressed up as peace? Tonight we're going to unpack the deal, the backlash, and the secret storm building over Iran. This is not just about Gaza. This is about power, politics, and the Middle East changing in real time. Yeah, you heard it right. Trump, Gaza ceasefire, and a so-called Board of Peace chaired by Donald Trump himself. Welcome to 2025. So here's the headline. Donald Trump steps up and says, "I'm ending the Gaza war immediately." He promises the release of hostages within 72 hours. Hamas fighters who surrender get amnesty. Palestine's statehood gets U.S. recognition. On paper, that sounds huge, like Nobel Peace Prize huge. But the devil is in the details, and the details are wild. Under the plan, Gaza would be temporarily governed by a peace board, led by, wait for it, Trump. Yes, the same man who built his brand on America First now wants to literally run Gaza as a chairman of a board. This is like if Jeff Bezos bombed your house and then offered you free prime delivery as a peace offering. Now, why is Trump doing this? 2 words: global isolation. Remember, 142 countries have recognized Palestine. Even U.S. allies like Saudi Arabia, Jordan, UAE, Indonesia, Pakistan, Turkey, Qatar, and Egypt have issued a joint statement welcoming a Gaza ceasefire and rejecting annexation of the West Bank. America's grip on the Middle East is slipping, and Trump knows it. Think about it. For decades, Washington called the shots. Now Russia and China are moving in. Gulf states are hedging. Even tiny island nations you've never heard of are voting for Palestinian recognition. Trump isn't a peacemaker here. He's a deal maker trying to stop America from being completely sidelined. Critics aren't calling this a ceasefire plan. They're calling it a surrender plan. CodeFing's co-founder Medya Benjamin said, quote, "This isn't peace. This is a demand for surrender to a colonial imperial power." And she's not wrong. When the U.S. invades Iraq and then sets up the Coalition Provisional Authority, that's not peace. That's occupation. Now swap Iraq with Gaza and Bremer with Trump. You'll see the pattern. Under Trump's plan, Israel doesn't have to pull out of Gaza first. Hamas has to release all hostages in 72 hours. But there's no binding timeline for Israel to end its military presence. That's like saying, "Give me your car keys, I promise someday I'll leave your driveway." Now let's be real. Trump has always wanted a Nobel Peace Prize. He's tweeted about it. He's joked about it. He's obsessed with the idea of studying in Oslo like Obama. This Gaza plan could be his ticket, if it works. But if it backfires, it becomes another Afghanistan withdrawal moment. Chaotic, bloody, and humiliating. And even if he gets the optics right, peace prizes aren't given for vibes. They are given for actual peace. Right now, Gaza looks nothing like peace. Here's the subplot nobody's talking about. While Trump is selling a Gaza ceasefire, Russia is warning Iran of a possible Israeli strike with U.S. support. Iran is showing off a new long-endurance drone called the Shahid 149 Gaza. This is like naming a pit bull ceasefire. It's a message. If Israel really does hit Iran, the entire region explodes. That means Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, the Gulf, everyone gets dragged in. So Trump's Gaza plan might not even matter if the sky over Tehran lights up next week. Trump says Israeli PM Netanyahu supports the plan. But support doesn't mean trust. Netanyahu has a track record of publicly agreeing, then quietly expanding settlements. He once told Trump that annexing the West Bank was off the table. Look at the map today. And let's be honest, Israeli hardliners don't want a two-state solution. They want a one-state reality where Palestinians are permanently under occupation. Trump's plan doesn't change that maths. Meanwhile, 8 key Muslim-majority countries have welcomed the ceasefire, but with conditions. They oppose West Bank annexation. They want reconstruction, no mass displacement, and real two-state negotiations. They are basically saying, "Okay, Trump, you started this fire. You don't get to be the hero for putting out half of it." This is the first time in years that Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey, and Pakistan are reading from the same script. That's a big deal. It shows how isolated Israel and the US have become. Now let's talk about this Board of Peace. The idea is that Gaza will be temporarily governed by an international body led by Trump, including Tony Blair. Yes, that Tony Blair, the Iraq War Tony Blair. If you're a Gazan family who's lost everything, and you hear Tony Blair and Donald Trump are here to rebuild, do you feel hope? Or do you feel like the punchline of a cruel joke? This is why the plan feels colonial. It's not empowering Palestinians to govern themselves. It's outsourcing the future to the same people who profited from their suffering. Notice how every official statement emphasizes Israeli hostages but never says Israeli troops out. That's not an accident. By making hostages the moral center of the plan, Trump sidesteps the occupation. But you can't solve Gaza without addressing the occupation. That's like trying to cure a fever without touching the infection. Until Israel commits to a clear withdrawal and real Palestinian sovereignty, no plan will hold. The next 48 hours are critical. Iran is on alert. Russia is leaking intel. Gulf states are coordinating. Netanyahu is boxed in politically. And Trump is betting his legacy on a plan that critics call a surrender. If Hamas rejects it, Trump blames them. If Israel undermines it, Trump blames Netanyahu. Either way, Trump wins the headline. Palestinians lose the ground. This is the oldest play in the book. Control the narrative, not the reality. Look, I want peace in Gaza as much as anyone. Everyone watching this does. But peace without justice is not peace. It's just silence between bombs. And if Trump's plan is just another photo op, another noble fantasy, then Gaza becomes another line in a long list of American experiments in the Middle East. Experiments that cost real people their lives. So before we celebrate, ask the hard questions. Who controls Gaza under this plan? When do Israeli troops actually leave? Who funds reconstruction? What happens if Iran gets hit? And why are the same men who created yesterday's wars suddenly in charge of tomorrow's peace? Because if we don't ask, we will wake up to find out the ceasefire wasn't a ceasefire at all. It was a surrender, and history will repeat itself. I'm Ali, and this was your channel. Stay informed, stay critical.